For whatever reason, oftentimes people are scared of dramas. They feel more comfortable with comedies or perhaps even musicals, but dramas, they're not quite sure what to do or how to feel or how to respond to it. But that's also a challenge, I think, for us is sort of helping the audience with that, breaking through that, because dramas are a critical piece of theater, of American theater, and really theater history.
In a drama, we're creating a world in which people interact and something happens. And the challenge is to bring the audience into that world for that period of time so that they can feel what those characters are feeling and see what those characters are seeing and understand what their reactions are. And that's, to me, the compelling part of any drama is the interaction between the people involved in the drama.
The story.
The story, yes.
Yeah.
We're telling a story.
Yeah.
As an example, when we did Requiem, a comment was made by an audience member after one of the shows, and the audience member said, "That was a rough world those people lived in." And I thought to myself, that person got it. We got that person into those people's world.
Which will lead me to, what three things do you want your audience members to talk about or think about on their ride home after they see a production?
The story itself. What is the story that's being told here? And then, secondly, the characters. Each audience member, who did they identify with? Which character? And it may be more than one, or was there one? And then, how does this impact my life personally? Because theater is a mirror to society. It's a mirror to what we see going on in people's lives. It's a mirror to the playwrights and what was going on in their society, their lives when they wrote these stories. So it's meant to have an impact on an audience member's life. And so the question would be, how? After they've seen this story, these actors portraying these characters, how does that impact me?
How do you go about bringing something new to the story that people, although they're familiar with the show, what are they going to go, over?
That's the production concept for whatever the show is. And that's something that we work very hard to figure out, okay, in essence, why are we retelling this story? If it's a well-known story, what about this? What's the thought that has struck us? It's like, I never thought of it that way before. And then that translates into a concept, and that translates onto the stage and the characters and every facet of the show.
Right. And I think that we have, working in a black box theater as we do, we have the opportunity to recast the story in a different environment. Because we're not going to, for our space, we build elaborate sets, but in the grand scheme of things, compared to, for example, a movie, they're not elaborate at all. And so it tends to focus the story more on the people. And I think that was one of the effective things about Caesars, that we did it in the round, so essentially we didn't have a set. And so it was all about the people involved. And the same thing with the show we're doing now. Also, we have the opportunity in our age of doing, which we started in Julius Caesar. It was our first time we really did a multimedia type approach where some of the play was presented as video images, and we've done that at other times since then. And I think it changes, it helps the audience, it breaks up what's going on, and it gives another perspective, and it can be a very effective way to present a piece of a drama.
What is the biggest challenge when taking on a dramatic role?
Finding the character, who they are, what is their interest in the story, and then trying to find a way to translate that through what you as the actor, what you do with your voice, what you do with your gestures, your timing, to translate all of that through so that an audience will believe this character, that this is real, that the circumstances and the plot, that this is the reality, and finding something that's new about it. Not necessarily, we all have our favorite actors and in certain roles, but you don't want to copy that actor, but you want to create a performance that is your own.
I'm going to say the same thing in a different way. I think that the challenge is to get to where you're not thinking of the character in the third person anymore. And as an example, I felt like I was getting there in Caesar when I stopped thinking, this is what Caesar's going to do, but started thinking about what I was going to do, becoming Caesar.
What makes for a wonderful scene partner?
Somebody that's with you, somebody that is as focused and into the scene as you are, and there are no distractions. There's nothing from the outside world. It's someone who is in that moment with you, and you're playing it truthfully. And when you have the opportunity to get that, it's kind of like lightning in a bottle. It's dynamite for those moments.
When your partner in the scene, and once again, it's a simpler way of saying the same thing. When your partner in the scene is not thinking of me as Tom, but is thinking of me as the character. When you look at your partner in the scene you're doing, and you know that they're not seeing you, they're seeing your character, then it all just flows and it develops a rhythm and a cadence as if it's happening to music. And in my scenes with Calpurnia and Julius Caesar, the scenes with Jason Leguess and Sarah Jones in Requiem for a Heavyweight, the scenes with Zach and Steve McPeak in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, those, I mean, I could go on, but that's where the magic really starts to happen.